بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين.
للعهد معتصم تحيي بدور العز والداد عند الفارس والمراحل.
For those brothers who have the Hadith, Kitab al-Tawheed, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the book. Around chapter 20 or 21, when it talks about the issues of grave worship, there's a lengthy hadith of Thawban. Okay, and the hadith of Thawban, I think I have the Arabic text here. I can just in the hadith of Thawban, the Prophet ﷺ said, that Allah has, brought to me, or has drawn towards me the two ends of the earth, or the ends of the earth. Okay, and I saw its most eastern region and its most western region, and the mulk, the dominion of my ummah will spread as far as the ends to which I saw. And, as other scholars have shown, this is a side point, if you look at the spread of Islam basically was in which directions? East and west. I mean, Islam didn't really spread northernly, didn't get into the far reaches of northern Europe like, we are now, or go really south, like in south of Africa. Islam spread east and west in the middle region of the earth, okay? Then the Prophet ﷺ said, and I was given the two treasures, red and white, which is interpreted by some between gold and silver. And I asked my Lord for my ummah that he does not destroy it due to a general drought, and that he does not allow its enemies to overrun it. And so therefore they'll be, to overrun their capital and, in other words, plunder them all completely. And my Lord said to me, O Muhammad, I have verily decreed the decrees, and my decrees do not turn back. And I will not destroy your ummah by a general drought, nor will I allow their enemies to overrun them, even if all their enemies came from all the lands, and to try to overtake the Muslims. However, and then the Prophet ﷺ said, and indeed I fear for my ummah the rulers who are astray. And if the sword befalls my ummah, in other words, if Muslims start fighting one another, the sword will not be raised from them until the day of judgment. And the day of judgment will not occur until groups of my ummah join the mushrikeen, and until parts of my ummah start worshipping idols, or, objects besides Allah. And there will be in my ummah 30 liars, each one claiming he's a prophet, and I am the last prophet, there's no prophet after me. And there will always remain a group of my ummah upon the truth. They will not be harmed by those who go against them until Allah's commands comes. So, see this long hadith, right? It shows you that the fact that Prophet ﷺ mentioned the victorious group right at the end of the hadith, it shows their struggle. I mean, it shows their struggle with the ummah, because the Prophet ﷺ talks about how his ummah, he fears for his ummah astray rulers, and how he fears for his ummah that once the sword has fallen between his ummah, the ummah will start fighting each other, and how he fears from his ummah that groups of them will join the unbelievers, and that groups of them will start entering into shirk, worshiping other than Allah, and that there will be false prophets, okay? And so he mentions all these great fitnahs, and then he says it will always remain a group of my ummah upon the truth. And so therefore it shows that, the implication is that this party is the one which is going to face all these great, turmoils, and all these great tribulations and trials the Muslims, will come to. So if you think about it, the jihad which is required in order to straighten, countries, whole nations who are led by astray rulers. What a great task that is, right? And what about the struggle taken so that Muslims stop fighting with one another? What a great task that is. And what about the task of preventing Muslims from resembling the unbelievers by them joining the unbelievers? And that's the worst degree. But there's a state before them when they start to resemble the unbelievers. They're influenced by them. That's also an unbelievable task. And what about the task of when Muslims start worshiping, idols, returning back to idolatry and paganism, correcting their beliefs? That's also a great task. And the issue of false prophets leading, people astray, and false prophets are the worst thing. What about, underneath them would come, false leaders who give false ideas and notions, waging jihad against them. That also is a great task.